Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Welcome again to this segment of the Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host here today, and part of my sort of a part host and a gubernatorial candidate, John Sweeney. I'm sure you know John. John's been on a number of times, but anyway, he's going to kind of like act as a co-host because he's here in the Portland metropolitan area, which is very, very important. So he sort of like gives us an update on what's going on from as far as the swamp is concerned. Hate using that word swamp, but you know, it's been as long as Ted Wheeler is mayor of Portland, we're going to have the swamp in the front of our name. And I say that, and I don't say that sarcastically, folks. In all due respect, every time you turn on the news, the national news, if you will, I mean, in all due respect, there's a quote, a rivalry, if you will, between the Republicans and Democrats. And the name of the game is that whenever they come on, they always mention Portland. Yeah. They always bring up Portland, Oregon. And by George, that's going to be a tougher for us to survive. So I'm just bringing the piece up to let you know the kinds of problems we're having trying to fix the issues that we're having here in our state of Oregon, and especially the city of Portland and Multnomah County. We've got some very serious problems. And as you know, I've been really trying to, again, that's one of the reasons why I've got John on today. So we got to talk a little bit about that a little bit more today, find out where it's at today, what his feelings are, because he's knocking on doors and going around and talking to people because he's running for governor. And so that's a very important piece. So I just want to let you know that we got a problem. It's not just a local, we got national problem. And as long as we've got Mayor Wheeler's name in the front of Portland, Oregon, and the state of Oregon, we got problems. So anyway, and by the way, as far as he is concerned, I've reached out to him. I've even gone down to City Hall to try to talk to this person, the gentleman. He happens to be the mayor. He's sitting in that seat, and he won't give it up. He won't give it up. And as you know, and so, but the bottom line is I've offered him to come on here and talk. You know, it's nothing about person. It's not about I don't like him. Is that he's sitting in that seat, and we're not going to solve anything until we get someone in that seat, if you will, that shows the kind of leadership that we need, so that we can get out of this swamp. Because in all due respect, to stop. What do you think about that, John?
That's true. You know, in fact, they just announced the other day that the commission on the commission about changing the form of government.
You got about 22 people on that committee.
You know, they talk about that, and I was with the city of Portland for 32 years and 8 months, and under the commission system, and really we had several really good park commissioners. Mm-hmm. You know, it's and you felt it clear down at the working level. Even when I started as a laborer, Ormond Bean came out and actually would see what you're doing.
Right.
And he would he'd have the director set up an itinerary that they're going to go visit. Well, the union had a real good relationship with the city council. If there was something a little haywire, why, next thing you know, Ormond Bean says, no, we're going over here. And there would be the director of the parks, you know, kind of wiping stuff off, you know. Mm-hmm. And anyway, Mildred Schwab was pretty good, and Frank Ivancy, and Charles Jordan, but the real problem, look at, when you're a public employee, whether you're a clerk or a janitor or the policeman or a soldier, number one priority is public safety. Mm-hmm. And I've talked with several people, even commissioners and some of the mayors, and the three public safety bureaus, police, fire, and 911, are under three different people. It should be under the mayor, so that when they get together, they only have to deal with one boss, not three bosses. And it's amazing on some of those people, when they get the thing where they're the boss, they think they're God, and they're not. And you know, it's It's,
Oh, you're saying that this is what's happening today, right?
oh yeah, well it's
Okay.
been that way for a while. In fact, they've even had sometime the mayor wasn't the police commissioner, somebody else was. But anyway, so Mayor Wheeler is the police commissioner, but fire's off in somebody else and 911's off with somebody else. You're talking the three key pieces of public safety should be under one boss.
Well, on that same note, though, but at the same time, the mayor is the one that appoints the person to the bureaus.
That's right.
He does not have to give anybody anything.
No, in
Okay.
fact, when they had
So he
the-
could have. So my point is that he could have actually had those 3 points that you're talking about, those
That's
3
right.
bureaus, under his purview,
Yeah.
but he didn't do that. Okay.
when they had the American Legion convention in 1970, Terry Shrunk took over the entire city except for the financial part, and so they had.
How did it work during that time?
It worked great because now I was on special
Quickly, yeah.
active duty doing as a driver, VIP driver for dignitaries. But the guys who were left behind, it says they left a skeleton crews out in the parks and out in Water Bureau doing things and maintenance bureau. But the deal is they had every loose truck with a crew of 2-3 guys on it to move benches and tables and barricades, and they're working 12-hour days, and when the police needed this or the fire needed this got moved, that got moved, and it worked good because now Terry Shrunk had been a fireman, and then he was the sheriff, and then he was the mayor, and he says, we had a big trouble, and they were going to, the Vietnam War was going on, and they had people coming around. In fact,
Okay. Well, I guess I hear what you're
but
coming.
anyway,
I'm
the deal.
just
But
trying
the
to-
thing is, the organization, and one thing that in my management training at Portland Community College and through Army schools or Command General Staff College, good organization cures a lot of things.
Okay.
And the thing is, for public safety, those 3 should be under the mayor.
Okay.
And the deal is, all these people run around nationwide to call for defunding the police should be turned out of office. Because look at history. We let our military get low, we end up in a war. You let the police get low, you got crime. I've talked to people somewhere else, and where you living? I says, well, in Portland. And I says, the shooting gallery. I says,
Yeah.
nationally, we're known as the shooting gallery.
But your point is, like you said, is that the ones that should be together under one person.
That is correct.
Okay, so whether it be the mayor, in this particular case, the mayor, or the other city council, because they've got to be doing something.
Yeah, and there's plenty of other things to do with the city, and they're talking about, well, they're not experts. Well,
Well, the bureaus are the experts.
yeah, you've got
Yeah,
those
yeah,
people,
but-
and you have to believe those people. Some people, they get the idea that if they're the boss, that all of a sudden they're the genius. You and I have been with people, next year, they get promoted and you don't, and the deal is they're an instant genius and you're an instant moron. That's not how it works. And this is the whole thing about but the organization cures a lot of
I
things, and the
understand,
deal
I
is you
understand,
have
right.
these people who have been there, for years or even decades, and they want to do a good job.
Well, I say the bureau folks are the ones that have been there for years.
Oh yeah, and the deal is-
Ordinarily, during the election every 2 years, 2 of those people change. You know what I'm saying? You got
Yeah.
me? They change in that aspect of it. But I hear your point about the fact that the commonality. But my point is, even now, if in fact they're divided,
yeah.
it's the leadership that's supposed to be there to make sure that they get the job done.
Yeah.
So if the mayor is sitting up there discussing issues, and maybe one has this bureau and one has this bureau, and then they're not cooperating for something that they've kind of said, this is what we need to do. He can say right then and there, well, you don't have that bureau anymore.
That's
I
right.
got it, and we're going to get the vote.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's something that we need to cure of. The other thing that you talked about real quick, like, is that I guess they've the so-called charter review committee. I think there's about 22 people on that charter committee, and they were talking about the whole issue of districtizing the city, right? Got me? And I guess just lately, it said something like about they gave an overview, and I think Mingus Maps was giving the people an overview, kind of in a news cut, they say, and said that they were looking at 4 districts, 2 city commissioners per district,
3.
3 per district,
Yep. We're going to have a council of 12.
a council of 12.
Yep.
Okay, but okay, all right. So 12. Okay, well, let's say 9 or 12. Well, okay, fine. So let's say 12. That's quite. I mean, I'm trying to figure out. We're having problems with 4.
Yep.
See, and I'm just saying, how you go 12, and you got to pay these people, and
And
each
you
one
got
of them's gonna be
staff.
running about. Yeah, you got staff, and so you figure about $200,000 or $300,000 a piece per person.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying that. I'm just saying that on average aspect of it. Got me? So that's another issue that we want to talk about, that piece. But tell you what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go. We got the sheriff that just came in. Guy running for sheriff. And John, would you take a moment, please, and get right back here with me? I appreciate that.
Oh, you bet.
And just walk around this community television, folks. And as you know, we're doing the election right now. And we got the gubernatorial candidate. He just got here, and so now we got the sheriff just coming in here. He's out there, and he's knocking on doors and stuff. Why don't you just come right on this. Don't matter. Either way, this way, right over here. Okay? Yeah, there we go. Mr. Peterson here, Sheriff Peterson here. We got Sheriff
good to
Peterson.
see
here.
you.
How you doing?
All right, good to see you.
He's out there dealing with the folks knocking on doors and this, that, and the other, which is very, very important. We're not going to keep him here too long, but the idea is that I want to get a little update on the campaign and because it's a very important position, folks. In all due respect, this is a very, very important position. The sheriff is the jailer for Multnomah County. And I'm making that point very, very clear, because that's something that we should say over and over and over, because for years we have been thinking that Portland was basically running the whole show. It doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, you got me?
Yeah.
And I realize we spend a lot of time on the whole issue of police, but the whole key is Multnomah County. And when you jail somebody, especially even if they're, especially now with the homeless aspect of it, they got a solution to the homeless problem, the jailers. Because in fact, I'm gonna throw the sheriff in right now, because we talked about it before, but I want him to again talk a little bit about that process when the police department, from whether it be Gresham or this, that, and the other, take them to the jail. What happens to a homeless person?
Well, we have we do have wraparound services, and we
Good.
make sure that when they first come into the booking,
Yes.
that they're monitored, that we take their clothes if they're soiled, and we wash them. We make sure that they get new ones if they're tearing them apart, and we wash them, dry them. And if we get them the new ones, we've been able to go out to some of the stores,
Like Goodwill,
like
like that? Yeah.
especially Goodwill.
Should be.
And
Got making $1 million a year.
So we get that clothing, and it's been fantastic to be
Yes.
able to provide that for them when they get out a short time later, unless they're staying anywhere from 4 hours all the way to 12 days is usually the average. It's raised since COVID. The average jail stay is probably around the 20-day mark now, but. So wraparound services, we have nurses on hand, psych staff on hand, and just making sure that we look and see what kind of services they need at that point in time to stabilize them. If there's any kind of drug addictions or things that they're dealing with, our staff will take care of that. Yeah, so the
What about personal?
County Health Department
You do,
takes
right.
care of all
Now, what
this.
about personal belongings? Do you put them all in a box, dirty and all, and then stack them up?
No, we don't. That's not a good way to to do that. It doesn't
I
smell
could see
too well.
rodents all of a sudden
Not
jumping
good.
all over. You guys don't pick up all the stuff where they are.
No, that goes somewhere else.
Okay.
But they're personal belongings. They're specifically their clothing, because we're not going to take a TV or different things that they may have.
But their wallet and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and keys, if
Yeah,
they got keys and stuff.
Very personal belongings.
Right,
so
right.
we'll bag that up, and then, like I said, along with their clothing, we'll make sure that's clean
Good.
and laundered and put in a bag.
Good.
And so when they get out, they get that particular clothing back. unless it disintegrates in the washing machine.
Do you give them tents? Do you give them
No,
a tent
none of
or
that,
something like
no.
that? See, I'm not. Like I said, not trying not to be facetious about the piece, but the point of the matter is the system does work.
We have a good system, and
Yeah, yeah.
I think there needs to be more to that system. We need to look at where's some of that money that is going that's not being effectively spent, or and allocate that money, reallocate that money to services and organizations that are doing a fantastic job in the community.
Right,
So
right,
we need
right.
to look at that.
Right. So, Derek, tell me this. I'm from you've been there for about 30 some years.
35 years.
35 years. When they were going through all this process about the homeless aspect of it, i.e., one of those aspects is boxing their stuff up and putting their box and storing them, that type of routine. Were you guys sitting at the table when they were going through that discussion to kind of share with them what you do?
I wasn't privy to those discussions where I work specifically, so I'm not sure who was at the table at that time. But we do make sure that they understand what we're going to take or not be able to take and store, to make sure that they have access to that when they get out of the jail, so they get a chance to go and put their belongings up, because it's very important that we just don't throw their stuff away. It's theirs. It's some of it's sentimental value. I wouldn't want somebody to come into my house and then just throwing all my stuff away. So we want to value our citizens on all levels, regardless of whether they're homeless or not.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing. Dignity and respect is at the utmost.
Okay. At the end of that term, after they've gone through that system, gone before the judge and this, that, and the other, at that point, all of a sudden, if they're under a year, do you keep them there? If they've been given 6 or 7 months or something like that.
Yeah. So if they've been convicted of a crime,
Right.
it's a short-term stay.
Short-term stay.
Right.
You
for
keep them
a
right there.
a year or less, and
Okay.
then if it's long-term, a year or more, they go to the state penitentiary.
They go to state penitentiary. Now, if it's short term, and then that day of release aspect of it, do you discuss things like housing and things of that nature? Talk to other services, if you will.
Yes, we do have a robust staff, whether it's NA or AA counselors on board, along with various other folks, services that can help kind of develop recognitive skill sets and prepare them to get out in the community, and then plug them into services out there, as we're just kind of a segue to that. And it's been extremely successful.
right?
Yeah, so we need more of that in our setting, in the jail setting, and I'd be advocating for that as sheriff to.
Oh, you're good.
to
Good.
provide
That's why I'm asking you.
Yes.
'Cause I know you shared it
Got
with
it.
me, but I want to share it with the viewing audience, the aspect of it. Now, what about probation officers and things of that nature? When they get out, are they assigned to someone to just monitor them for a short period of time to make sure that they're doing the things that they're supposed to be doing?
Yeah, community DCJ, the Department of Community Justice, is the person or the people that handle that. Under Erica Murray, she is a fantastic,
Yeah, okay.
fantastic person that runs that unit over there, and they do a great job of monitoring the folks that are on probation or parole. And if they're not doing the right things, we give them a little timeout sometimes to get their attention. And some of them may have gotten back into drugs or some kind of substance
Right,
abuse, so
right.
get a chance to interface with them,
Okay.
with DCJ on a regular basis, with people coming in for sanctions.
Okay. Now, recidivism is always an issue. Not normally they identify that with the prison system aspect of it. But what about those that in that short term, all of a sudden they get out and they get into something bad or whatever? Do they go back to the process again? And
Yeah, there's processes in place
Okay.
when they don't do what they're supposed to do,
Yeah,
right?
right,
So,
right.
and that's a process of, like I said, probation and parole deals with those
Right.
folks in a manner to make sure that they've got a job, they're getting stabilized, that they're doing the right things in the community, and really continue to pay back their debt to society. Some of the things, victims that they may have harmed in this process, and recognitive thinking skills, and work skills, all those kind of things come into play. So they do.
You know,
do a
another
good job.
area talking to that same piece again, the system. See, is that I know they've got the Bud Clark situation over there by the train station or something like that, right? You got facility
Yes.
aspect of it, and then all of a sudden, the point I'm getting to is that all of a sudden we look like we've been building up, if you will, the homeless situation downtown, so to speak. You know what I mean? My point is that, you know, all of a sudden, the next thing you know, that they run out of beds over there. They just maybe put a tent up. I'm just saying, do you know the number of people who might have gone through that situation, the criminal justice system, and all of a sudden they just stay around town or something like that, or stay in the area?
I'm sure we have some statistics, but this volume of people that come in
Right.
it changes every day, and it's not just people who are connected to the criminal justice
Right.
system. It's people who are coming from other communities from
Yeah.
across the state and across the nation to an extent. So
That's Mayor Wheeler's group. I mean, we talked about that part. No, that it's a problem, man. I've got to mention that because in all due respect, he needs to be part of the change, helping out. We need to understand that so that we can get through the crisis period that we're in, because we went through for 2 years or so. We went through some heavy changes here, and we're trying to change that. But we still have that national presence, as I was indicating to John, who talked about that for a moment. And that has to be considered. That's on the table. And so some way, shape, or form, we've got to realize that's part of the problem. And he has to be part sitting at the table here. Now, how do we dress him up? I don't know.
well, it's all hands on deck, and
I know.
everyone who's has a part of this situation, whether it's politicians or mayor, the governor,
Right.
the local law enforcement,
Right.
all the justice
Okay.
folks that have a part of the DA's office, the courts, the
Good.
judges.
Good.
Everyone's going to need to get sit at the table and figure this out.
Good.
And I'm hopeful that we have leadership that's coming in that is excited about working with each other and
Good.
coming up with solutions,
Good,
along
good.
with some of the organizations,
Good.
the organizations like IPAC or PSAC, those folks that are doing fantastic work out in the community and dealing with gun violence and mental health issues and homelessness.
I had to digress with that at the beginning of the deal because people wanted to know. You got me? But now let's get down to yourself. What are you hearing on the street when you're out there campaigning with the people? What are the people asking you in regards to when you're talking to them in the front of them or whatever?
Well, in the forefront of the citizens' minds, the people I've talked to, and I've been all the way out to the Troutdale, Gresham area. I was just down at Portland State at the farmers market discussing things with folks, and the frustration is that there just seems to be little done in the aspect of the violence that is going on, and people not being held accountable. They truly are afraid to leave their home and just take a walk or a run or a jog, and unfortunately they get in their car and have to drive to a place where there's a certain amount of people there that they feel they feel protected.
Really?
Right? Yeah.
So it's not just Portland.
It's all over.
All
It's
over the
Multnomah
county. All over Multnomah County.
Yeah,
Wow.
so that's a major issue, and I'm hearing parents saying, "Yeah, I will not let my child out of the house to go play, and unless an adult or two are there with them, and there's other kids around, so they're not they're afraid of what's happening out there." And justifiably so. It's a lot more violent. People are on the street, like I said, that that have these issues, mental health issues, and they need to be redirected. The homelessness issue, you feel very insecure just walking around where there's a lot of tents. You don't know if you're going to get accosted. I had another lady said she was chased by a man with a hatchet.
Wow.
Down the street, and not a lot was done with that situation. And another one, a bullet going through her home. So our citizens are frustrated, and rightfully so. And we need to address these issues head on and look to stem the violence. Not tomorrow, today. We need to all hands on deck to figure this out. It's going to take some short and long range goals to do that, though.
Now tell me this: what about people who are sitting in situations where the results of a solution to those problems are sitting at a table, kind of like on an ongoing basis? Do they have such a round table, if you will, where law enforcement and this and that and the sheriff department, the judges, all sitting at a table, if you will, discussing some of the issues that you're hearing as you're knocking on the door? I mean, do we have such a body?
I think you've seen our professional, especially our criminal justice system partners, meeting together to figure that out, right?
But we don't know nothing about it. The public don't.
Yeah.
Why can't they have a visual deal? I think that would help out a little bit.
Well, that's part of community trust and communicating with the public
Right,
as to what's
right,
going
right.
on.
But where is that?
Yeah, I can't tell you. I'm
Really?
not at the. I
Is that
haven't
something
been
that
at that
might
table.
is that something that might be of interest to you? Because no, you're in an elected position now, and you've got a little bit more of a power base than as opposed to just being under the chair position, coming with the county. Because this is an elected position, right? That's where
correct,
you are,
yeah.
aspect of it. So we talked a little bit about that because it would help the transparency. It really
Exactly.
would help if they could see folks meeting and really talking to solving their problems.
Yeah, Bruce, it's not only just that, but it's being proactive in reaching out to the community and inviting them at the table
Yes.
because you need their perspective,
Yes,
right,
yes,
on this
yes.
situation. It's not just the criminal justice system, the professionals in it. It's bringing the community into this situation and being proactive, and then active listening to what
Yes.
they have to say and implementing some of the things
Right.
they are asking for. So.
Well, and on that same point, like one of the points I remember when I ran in the county, I ran for district number 2 about 8 years ago, and and needles was a big thing, needles. And people were saying, look, these needles are all over the place and they have an impact on the animals and this, that, and the other. My little kids, I can't go to the park without picking up a needle or whatever. And I can say, look at let's do something about these needles. Let's just stop giving the needles to folks, if you will. Give them a pill or something. Have them take the pill down at the pharmacy or something where they have to take it to make sure they take it as opposed to selling it. You got my point? But my point is that was a problem then, and it's still a problem today. And that's one of the reasons why I'm running again
All right.
for chair of Multnomah County, because you can't talk to these people. They won't answer the phone. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like where, we talked a little bit about that because, I mean, your position that you're running is a very important one. You've got, with the experience you've had, some 30 some odd years in that position, you know that system. And hopefully, I'm sure you're the kind of, what I'm hearing is that you're going to be the kind of guy that's going to say, well, we're the guys that calls the shot. It's not just Portland, Oregon aspect of it. Don't get me wrong, you would include all the law enforcement, I'm sure of that. But the key is that we need some sense of an organizational. John mentioned that just not too long ago. We were talking a little bit about that peace aspect of it. But that's something that's really been bothering, like we're talking about right now.
Yes.
The folks out there are concerned. They're scared, the whole 9 yards. And as you note, a lot of the stuff is shifting over in the southeast Portland corridor
Yes.
from the so-called northeast Portland corridor. Because northeast was i.e. the whole issue with the gangs and all this, and the shootings and whatever. But but now the taxes have gone up such that the prison can't afford housing. So we got
moving out.
gentrification. Yes, it's
It's moving out
gentrification.
east, yes.
Gentrification.
Yeah.
The other thing we'll go before I let you go real quick, like, is that I noticed that you were at a news conference with a number of black men that were concerned about the shootings and they were going to do something. First off, why did you guys meet? And two, what are we looking at in terms of results? I saw that.
Yeah, so this was brought about by Sam Sachs, who is is the author of No Hate Zone, and just seeing the uptick in gun violence, and it's a major uptick. It's just not just a small uptick in gun violence, and our kids, our youth, our black men dying in the streets here in Portland, and far too many funerals happening. And it was a call to black leaders to come together at Dawson Park
I saw that.
right? And the kind of the living room of Black Portland to that extent, and reach out to the mayor and ask him to declare a state of emergency on gun violence.
Well, one, why wasn't he there?
We don't know. He was invited. A lot of people were invited to that, and I thought it was important as me being going to be the next sheriff
very much so.
to weigh into that, and is extremely important as I see that, and I have a black son that I'm worried about as this could happen to him at any moment. So I have a passion for what's happening out there, that our folks are being killed and alarming numbers compared to the rest of the population, and we need to figure that out.
Well, but knowing you too, as I know, you are just as diverse too. You're thinking about white kids too, Mexican kids too, Asian kids too, young people.
Yes.
Young people that are out there in the street doing this kind of a deal, and I threw that on the table because, from a historical standpoint, blacks always had they had the label, if you will, for all of the gang violence and all of the shootings and this, that, and the other. But things have changed.
Yes.
There's a lot of guns out there. We got guns out there, and when they break in these, they don't have to go into the store to get them. They get them in homes. They can get them in cars. I mean, from anybody, whatever they're selling them back and forth, and you can get bullets from anywhere. I mean, I found out the other day that they're selling them at some of the pawn stores. You can buy rounds, ammunition from pawn. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out, are we having any discussions on that piece? Just firearms.
Yeah, there's it's a complex issue, Bruce.
Jesus
just
Christ.
saying, it's a very.
But we're looking
complex
at you. We're looking at you for some part of the solution, because you are elected a position. You're going to be the sheriff, and right in front, the buck should stop there. And it's in the county.
Yes.
It is the county. That's where it's at, right? You got me? And so anything to do with public safety and whatever, that's that's your job. And I really appreciate the fact that you are running. I have invited the other entities that are running. I noticed that there's a young lady that's running also from the sheriff department, but she's not called me back yet. But it's a very important position. Okay.
Yes.
But anyway, I know you're busy, but I want to thank you very much for stopping by here at the Oregon Voters Digest, here at Open Signal.
Yes.
Okay.
My pleasure.
We appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
I will. Thanks so much.
Hope to see you again soon.
Okay.
We'll have you back. Give us a report. Okay.
All right. Will
Thanks
do.
again, Derek.
Okay.
Okay. Appreciate it. Good enough. All right. We'll get the Gov down here to sit back here and shoot the breeze here a little bit with us some more. Okay. Good. What's going on there, John? All right. Okay. So now, John, you kind of, I'm sure you got the gist of where I was coming from on that piece. This is a very, very important position. Yeah. It's a very serious position aspect of it. And as you can see, that the county is the leading force in these issues. And by the way, I reached out to the gubernatorial folks. That's why I'm basically sharing it right now. Anybody that wants to come on the show and stick their head in here and talk a little bit about what they're doing. I realize everybody's knocking on doors all over the place, but sometimes we get a little bit more than just 3 minutes, right?
Right. Well, one thing I remind people of is the fact that 1983 was Resolution A, and that's where the county commission in Multnomah County used to be a full-service government like City of Portland. And anyway, that what happened is there was the chairman become the person that run the county, except for the sheriff, and
The chairman of who?
at Multnomah County.
Okay, with running the, yeah, right, yeah,
And the deal
sheriff
is
underneath the,
Yeah, and the county took over all the jails and all the human services welfare type things. And the only big physical thing that the county has is the bridges, because nobody wanted the bridges. And there's a report recently, I think the Willamette Week did it, about should the city of Portland Police and Multnomah County Sheriff's go together.
right, and
And there was some discussion one time of basically that all the policing goes under the sheriffs, and so that there would be 37 police agencies in the state, the state police in 36 counties. And of course, I'd have to change the rules for the Multnomah County, but you could do that. And then the cities, they have a certain amount of their a percentage of their general fund that goes for their police, and that money from the cities could go to the county sheriff for funding. Because like in Multnomah County, the sheriff's the chief law enforcement officer, but the county commission's their banker, and sometimes they short the the sheriff's office pretty severely.
Okay. So that's the structure then. But what
Yeah, it
the
used to
structure?
be, yeah.
The structure now we have my point is that they're pretty well independent.
Yeah, the
this-
sheriff's,
The
Multnomah
budget.
County Sheriff's Office is quite small because basically they have the jails. They don't have much patrol to do because not much of Multnomah County is unincorporated anymore.
Well, but they have contracts with other municipalities.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they have contracts with
Yes.
that. And then I guess the other thing is that, like you said, they service different kinds of things on, like you said,
Right,
routine.
yeah.
But it's a very responsible job, and
Oh, yeah.
and then you know what I mean, and then like I said, that's one of the reasons why I asked that question of the gentleman here that was sitting up here running for the
sure.
sheriff position aspect of it, and find out what he's hearing on the streets, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of things happening. And,
Right. I think there's basically two kinds of shootings going on. And the street shootings, or shooting scoot affairs, they come in, they shoot a little bit, and they take off. And almost always is happening in the poor neighborhoods. Because I live in a little better neighborhood, and I know that there's people around, they've got rifles or shotguns behind the door, and a lot of them are carrying firearms all the time. And so some of those people, if they drift out into a little better neighborhood, they might be in for a surprise. And then, of course, the others I call like school shootings.
So you're saying that there has been some shootings of people in the so-called well-to-do communities after people that have been shooting?
No,
I want
but
to know what's going on.
If that happens, the deal is they're liable to be in surprise. The fact that they'll be involved in two-way lead, so because there'll be people shooting back at them.
You think that there's people out there that will do that?
Sure, the deal
It
is
hasn't happened yet, right?
no, but I mean the deal is somebody's say if you have firearms and somebody's shooting at your house, what are you going to do? Just hide on the floor?
Well, no, I'm just asking you. I mean, you're the governor.
So, but I know that there's people out there, and they've got rifles or shotguns behind the door, and they've got firearms on them, and the fact that they become victims of that they're going to shoot back.
Okay. Well, you see, but at the same time, is that we need to be discussing that. That's why I
That's
basically I'm talking to you about this piece, because everybody's got guns,
Yeah, and
and then the responsibility of having a firearm is huge.
oh yeah.
And then I don't see too much work being done from the standpoint of making sure that these people are trained. I'm talking about the well-to-do ones. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got me?
Yeah.
Like you said, a lot of them can afford to buy a gun, to purchase a gun, buy it at the store, this, that, and the other, and then house them. And like every time you see, every so often somebody gets busted or something, whether it be well-to-do person or whatever, and they're hauling out machine guns and tanks and all kinds of stuff at their house.
Well, I tell people firearms are not a good murder weapon.
Yeah. But unfortunately, they're out here now.
Yeah.
So what do we do about it?
But the other is school shooting. Actually, and it's more than the schools, but in fact, a lot of that's due to bullying, and some of that could be on the street shooting. People just feel neglected and downtrodden, and it's their way of getting even and striking out. So that's unfortunate, and we need to convince people, especially the younger ones, that hey, you're worthwhile. To look at, people over 60 are the past basically, and people under 20, they're the future. And we have to invest in them. That's why we have an education system and a few other things. The thing is, I'm okay, you're okay type thing. And it's like we need to talk with each other and talk to each other. It's and I live in a white neighborhood, and I remember one of the fellows, a black fellow that worked at one of the local restaurants, and he was just kind of walking down the street, and I saw him, and I said, "Hey, nice day." And he said, "Yeah, it is." And he was walking taller because somebody recognized him, and because he seen me on the porch, and as he got closer, I talked to him. He felt better. So I felt better with the fact that I lifted his spirits. The fact that we discussed something nice, and but this is the thing that you're talking about the shootings. Basically, there's two ways, but I think the bullying has a lot to do it, and a lot of people feeling down and out. And the deal is a lot of
stresses going on. Yeah, we got a lot of stresses going on.
A lot of stress, but the thing is, there's nobody out there to stop them.
Nobody's
that's why if it doesn't get better and I'm the governor, well, I'd have to come in with the state police and the National Guard. And I know in the American Legion Convention here in Portland in 1970, when they had the trouble and the state police and the National Guard came down, that was the end of it. Of course, I was standing down there talking to one of the state policemen, and looking straight ahead. I'm looking at the knot on his tie. He was really a bit, most of them were really big guys, and the National Guard was down there, and they had all their riot gear on. And
was there any shootings at that time?
No,
I don't think
not
so.
that I recall. No. And there's a falsehood of saying, like they tell us, pistol's only good for either 50 feet or 50 yards, depending on who's telling the story. But the thing is, that bullet can go a long way. So when they say the effective range, it really is misleading. It's like a 30-06. Most people, it's only good for 200 yards for hunting. Well, put that thing in a Browning machine gun, it's 2,000 yards. That's 25 city blocks in Portland.
Well, it's interesting. You mentioned the American Legion. That's basically when was it 70? Was it what year was that about?
That was the fall of '70.
Fall of '70. I was there.
Yeah.
In fact, I was assigned to hold the American flag on the diocese. That's what I did. And like you said, I noticed the bikers were there. A number of the bikers were there, and they respected the flag in many ways. And so it was just like you said, it was just kind of like a big time march. They didn't have any permits, but they were there.
Yeah.
And it ended peacefully. The people weren't shooting. I mean, they weren't carrying any weapons, and the laws have changed a little bit. You can carry and all this, that, and the other, routine. But let's talk about Sweeney's governorship aspect of it, on that end of it. And what about? Is there a group? Are you looking at the possibility of putting together a group, pros and cons, on the whole issue of firearms? To discuss the issue of what can we do to solve these problems that we have. We got too many guns out there, one, and being responsible if you're carrying a gun or if you even have a gun at home. I mean, just talking about the problem, and then the fact that young people don't have access to it. They don't look at the media. They don't look at the newspapers. They don't get involved.
Yeah, actually, that's pretty easy to do because
How can you do that?
There's organizations out there. There's the Oregon State Shooting Association, which is the state NRA. There's the Central Oregon Shooting Association. Right. Lots of clubs around, and so.
So would you entertain the idea of putting together a committee and transparency-wise and get it shown on these discussions shown via the two, like the Voters Digest or the news or this, that, and the other, or write about this stuff? You think would that be something you'd be interested in?
I could have them out here 50 deep for your show.
Is that right?
It would be. It's really easy because I belong to Tri-County Gun Club, which has almost 6,000 members.
Okay.
And when they're in the meetings and they're talking about it and visit a couple other clubs and to the gun shows, and they are upset about all this shooting.
Are they?
Oh yeah, because when this type of thing happens, it jeopardizes the rights of law-abiding citizens. Okay.
And the hunters and all that kind of stuff.
All that kind of stuff.
That's that male-dominated sport, right?
Oh, you'll be surprised on how many women are into the
What
shooting
is it?
sports.
Is
and
it 50
into
50
hunting.
now? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't think it's 50-50.
What is it
but, you
now? What is
know,
it now, you think?
There was one of the guys saying they went hunting last season for the first time, and one of the women got all 6 deer because the other guys were shooting up the woods but not hitting anything.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's, they,
So a lot of folks have guns, and,
Yeah.
they're concerned about all these issues.
they're really concerned because it jeopardizes their rights, and the thing that, no one has a right to harm you.
Okay.
No one has a right to attempt to harm you,
Okay.
and you have a right to defend yourself.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, John, Governor Sweeney, why don't we start right here at the Oregon Voters Digest at Open Signal? You
Okay?
think you can get some of the key folks, like the NRA and folks like that?
Yeah, let's see who I can get, and it's not too much happened last time, but the thing is, there's always somebody bringing stuff up, and it infringes on our rights. If you're a law-abiding citizen, it infringes on your rights. And the thing is, when they arrest these people and they catch them, what happens is in the plea bargaining process, all that goes off the table, just like they don't exist. It might be sometimes the fact that it's the only thing that they can stick you with if they have something against you, because it might be they don't like you or something like that, and I figure that's the only thing they got is a gun charge. But if you're really a criminal, it goes away.
Well, I think that would be a good idea. So hopefully we might be able to do this during this particular time, because with 34 of you, 33 of you are running for governor. Is that the idea? How many?
Yes, 17 Democrats and 19 Republicans.
Really? Wow.
And so that's
36,
quite a handful,
Yeah.
and I've bumped into a few of them out there that are out there shaking hands and passing out literature and stuff like that. And in fact, I showed up out here and handed out 3 cards before I got in the door. So.
Well, let's see if we can get that get that done. You think you can put some, even you start off with NRA? I'm an NRA member way back when I got out of the Corps aspect of it, and but then it wasn't so political. It was just basically, military guys basically identified with their weapons and this, that, and the other during that particular time. So it was a transition piece, at my end of it.
Well, actually, the NRA it started in 1871 because a bunch of New York National Guard officers were dismayed at the sloppiness of and lack of preparation for the Civil War, and they got together and says, "We've got to do something because this nation is a prize that other people want, and you and I swore an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and there's people here who do not like the freedoms that we have, and they're doing all kinds of things to do away with that. One of them was a call for a convention of the states, or constitutional convention. We had one in 1787, and we were very lucky, and it changed the form of government from the Articles of Confederation, which was like a parliamentary system, to the system we have now. And so we were very lucky. In fact, they actually had the Bill of Rights to be 12 rights, but only 10 of them passed, and that's why there's 10 of Bill of Rights instead of 12.
Right.
And if you notice that the First Amendment is the freedom of speech, the press, and religion, and then the second one is, of course, the right to bear arms.
Right.
And it's not for duck hunting or deer hunting. It's possibly against the tyranny of our government. And a lot of times you had things going on where legislatures in a Democratic-controlled government, the Republicans walk out, and in a Republican-controlled legislature, the Democrats walked out, and in the federal Congress, you have the filibuster. So they're squawking in the U.S. Congress now. They want to do away with it. because the Republicans are using it. Well, if the things shift back, they'll be trying to get it back. And so the thing is that, and the purpose of the walkouts and the purpose of the filibuster is to prevent the tyranny of the majority.
That's the key.
That's the key.
That's the key. But you know, they don't share that enough.
No,
And they don't educate folks about that piece. I mean, but also that comes a responsibility as we grow older, right?
Yeah.
As we grow, there's a responsibility now that also should be expressed and taught, if you will, as far as maintaining a weapon, so to speak. Because even now, you know, you can purchase a gun, but you don't have to worry about going through no training or anything of that nature, right?
Yeah, well, even the people are squawking on the concealed handgun license. There's no shooting phase to it. Well, some of the states had shooting phases, and they had to.
Now, what's the definition of shooting phases? What do
You
mean?
actually had to shoot and demonstrate
That you could, okay.
that you can do it, and they've had places where they had to get 80 or 85% hits.
Okay.
And they've actually had some police get nervous about it. You know, they only have to hit for qualifications half the time. And there was a woman who was committed suicide by cop because she had a air pistol in her hand, and two police officers that they showed a picture of it as they were
And it was downtown Portland, wasn't it?
downtown
I
Portland,
remember that. I
and they
remember
weren't
that.
15 feet away.
Right.
They fired 41 shots at this woman, so
Wow.
they had to reload, and they only hit her 19 times.
Wow.
Now the deal is, you know, when we were the service and we went out to the range and shot that bad, I mean, we would be in real trouble.
Wow. Wow.
You know, because you know, the firearms was a real big deal in the Marine Corps and in the Army, especially in the combat arms of it. It's just really important because that's the basics.
Look, we got about another 5 minutes, and let's see if we can close on. And this is a very important piece. So, if you can maybe consider putting that piece together, that'd be great. Even maybe get 2 or 3 people, the top folk, or whatever, and we need to just chat with them about that whole piece aspect of it, because to educate, if you will, those folks who are running for office today,
Right.
and that tyranny piece, that's a heavy piece. You can really push that forward in terms of what that meant in the Constitution,
Right.
and has it been tweaked or whatever through the time for today. See,
Right.
like now, and because I think that would really be of benefit, if you will, to the public, because the whole idea of the shootings that we're seeing and this, that, and the other, I know for a fact. I know I am. I'm concerned about those shootings. Got me, and it's just gotten so liberal and whatever. It's not talking to tyranny.
Yeah, when the sun gets kind of low in the sky, there's certain parts of towns I don't go into.
Yeah, but we're not in a war situation.
No.
But my point is that it's just kind of a lackadaisy type stuff. Got me.
Yeah.
But those are real rounds
Oh yeah.
that
Well,
goes there. See, and people are nervous about that. So hopefully, Governor, you will you'll bring some folks in and we can talk about that, because I think if you could solve that problem, and put together a committee of concerned folks, if you will, to talk about why we're doing this, that, and the other. And at the end of the day, we can stop that piece and educate these young people, if you will, whether they join an ROTC in school or something like that, and where they have marksmanship or something like that. You know, anything. But we need to have a discussion on it.
well, there's several high schools that have junior ROTC, and it's really popular.
Yeah, but we don't have that here, for
Not
instance.
in Portland, no.
Well, not in Portland, just southeast, all over the county.
Yeah,
We're having problems.
right.
You know, Portland is like I said, this
swamp.
This is Ted Wheeler's swamp,
Yeah,
and it's unfortunate. I hate to put his name out there like that, but that's where it is.
yeah.
I
Well,
mean-
one of the things in my education thing is to do 4 things. One of them is civics, because they're not teaching civics. You know, what the government means and all that. Because when I was in school, they taught me, you know, the U.S. representative was supposed to represent the people in that district,
Yeah.
and the senator for the state, and the president for everybody. And now there's so much as for special interests.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a concern.
Yeah.
You're running for governor. You're going to be the head guy, if you will, so to speak. So hopefully we can educate those other 35 folks that are running and seeing how they're feeling about it. Because sometimes that's not their priority, okay?
No.
And so we need to get people around in the same track, so to speak, because we got a crisis here.
Yeah.
We got to, and that's the only way we can do it is discuss it.
Yeah.
Pros and cons. Just sit down and talk about this whole piece. You got me?
Yeah. And in some of the clubs, they have quite a what you might call a ladies division, and you watch them shoot and you figure, good thing they're shooting at that target, not at me.
Yeah, yeah,
Some
yeah, yeah.
some of them get real good, and this is one of the mistakes that some of the guys do is for their ladies in their life is they get too big a gun. You know, it's you know, the bad guy comes in, you know, 22 between the eyes beats a 44 in the ceilings.
Yeah, but then at the same time, just on the one side, the other side of it, these folks go to work and somebody breaks in their home,
Yeah.
and they take the gun, they get the gun, right? You got me? And then all of a sudden the gun gets found later on, or someone used it to maybe burglarize somebody or rob somebody or kill somebody.
Yeah.
Got me? And then the insurance company basically they're not looking to get the gun back. I noticed that part.
No.
You know, they just raise your rates if you claim it.
Yeah.
And I don't think too many people, once they confiscate those stolen guns or whatever, and they sell them, you don't see the owners running down there to get them.
No. Now there is one gun law that really works. In fact, the anti-gun people, they come out with it where you can only buy one a year or one a month, and it's called the multiple purchase law. If you go out and you buy 2 or more handguns, you fill out multiple purchase law, and so if the law enforcement finds a firearm at a crime scene, they check that multiple purchase form and they come back to the owner that bought that. In fact, there was a guy a few months
You
ago
talking about here in Portland, Oregon?
in Portland.
Yeah, but guess what though? When they sell those guns, they're selling to people they advertise it.
Yeah.
People have 10, 15, 20 guns in their house. Well, something's wrong here, John.
Well, legally now they're supposed to run a background check on them, and most people do because they allow you to make a phone call and go through the process. You know, but the thing is, they caught this guy because he was buying firearms all over selling, but
Right.
he went and bought more than one firearm several times, which he got on the radar, and they started finding these firearms. They come back and they estimated he bought and sold about 40 firearms
Wow.
before they caught him.
Wow.
So that law.
So where
works.
did he do time or what?
Huh?
Did he do time or
I
what?
don't know. He's probably haven't been to trial yet because
Okay.
it's just been a few months.
Well, this is a good note to just kind of close this show down. We're going to put this in the can. But yeah, if you go on and follow up on getting some folks, we'll make that a priority and get it. It's something of major concern with the public.
Okay.
You know, to talk about this whole issue aspect of it.
Yeah.
So it's always good, John, to hear you. I mean, you've been around, and it's good to have you here. And I'm glad that you're showing up. And I hope I'm sure you're going to be you out there knocking on the doors. I know that, and you're getting involved. Okay, got me.
Sore knuckles.
I heard that, my friend. Well, thank you for being with us. We appreciate that very much, and I hope to see you here again. Get that
Be my
committee.
pleasure,
Get those
anytime.
2 or 3 people on the next round. Is that okay with you? Can you
I'll
get
see
that?
what I can do.
Start talking with them about that. Okay, good. Folks, it's been a pleasure, and hopefully you're going to stay safe. And for those who are 65, get those booster shots. They're available now. Have a good one. Take care. See you next week.